translation or not? You're doing. So we're reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 7, verse number 14. Daivihiyeshu gunamayi mama maya duratya mam eva ye prapadyante mayam etam taranti te. Daive, transcendental. He, certainly. Esha, this. Gunamayi, consisting of the three modes of material nature. Mama, mine. Maya, energy. Duratyaya, very difficult to overcome. Mam, unto me. Eva, certainly. Ye, those who. Prapadyante, surrender. Mayam etam, this illusory energy. Taranti, overcome. Te, they. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. This divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is very difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it.
Seda minu jumalikku energiat, mis koosneb materiaalse looduse kolmest suunast, on raske ületada, kuid nendele, kes on alistunud minule, pole sellest kõrgemale tõusmine raske.
Report. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has innumerable energies, and all these energies are divine. Although the living entities are part of His energies, and are therefore divine due to contact with material energy, their original spiritual power is covered.
Jumala kõrgem isiksus omab lugematu arvul energiat, ning kõik need energiad on jumalikud. Ehk Jerusalemmid on tema energiate lahutamatud osakesed, ning seega samuti jumalikud. Puutudes kokku materiaalse energiaga, katab see nende algse kõrgema energiaga.
Being thus covered by material energy, one cannot possibly overcome its influence. As previously stated, both the material and spiritual natures, being emanations from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are eternal. The living entities belong to the eternal, superior nature of the Lord, but due to combination and due to contamination by the inferior nature, matter, their illusion is also eternal.
Materiaalse energiaga kaetud elusolend ei saa selle mõju alt vabaneda. Nagu eespool öeldud, on nii materiaalne kui ka vaimne loodus, lähtudes Jumala kõrgemast isiksusest igavesed. Elusolendid kuuluvad Jumala igavese kõrgema energiahooga, kuid olles saastunud madalamast energiast, see on mateeriast. On ka nende illusioon igavene.
The conditioned soul is therefore called Nitya Baddha, or eternally conditioned. No one can trace out the history of his becoming conditioned at a certain date in material history. Consequently, his release from the clutches of material nature is very difficult, even though that material nature is an inferior energy, because material energy is ultimately conducted by the supreme will, which the living entity cannot overcome.
Tingimustest sõltuvat hinge nimetatakse seepärast nittepahaks ehk igavesti tingimustest sõltuvaks. Keegi ei suuda materiaalse maailma ajaloost välja uurida kindlat hetke, mille elusolend sattus tingimustest sõltuvusse. Ehkki materiaalne loodus on madalam energia, on materiaalse looduse küüniste vahelt vabaks pääseda väga raske, sest lõppkokkuvõttes juhib materiaalset energiat kõrgem tahe, mille üle elusolendil võimu ei ole.
Inferior material nature is defined herein as divine nature due to its divine connection and movement by the divine will. Being conducted by divine will, material nature, although inferior, acts so wonderfully in the construction and destruction of the cosmic manifestation. The Vedas confirm this as follows: Mayam tu prakritim vidvan Mayinam tu Maheshwaram. Although Maya illusion is false or temporary, the background of Maya is the supreme magician, the personality of Godhead, who is Maheshwar, the supreme controller, from Shvetasvatara Upanishad 4.10.
Käesolevas väris öeldakse, et madalam materiaalne energia on oma looduselt jumalik, sest see on ühenduses Jumalaga ning seda juhib jumalik tahe. Toimudes vastavalt jumalikule tahtele toimib materiaalne loodus imepäraselt, kosmilist avaldumist luues ja hävitades. Ehkki ta on madalam loodus. Vedad kinnitavad seda järgmiselt, Mayantu prakriti midam Mayinamtu Maheshwara. Ehkki Maya illusioon on võlts ehk ajalik, on Maya taga peidus suurim võlur, Jumala isiksus, kes on Maheshwara, kõrgem kontrollija.
Another meaning of guna is rope. It is to be understood that the conditioned soul is tightly bound, or tightly tied, by the ropes of illusion. A man bound by the hands and feet cannot free himself. He must be helped by a person who is unbound, because the bound cannot help the bound. The rescuer must be liberated. Therefore, only Lord Krishna, or his bona fide representative, the spiritual master, can release the conditioned soul. Without such superior help, one cannot be freed from the bondage of material nature.
Sõna kuna teine tähendus on köis. Tingimustest sõltuv hing on tugevalt illusiooniköitega kinni seotud. Kätest ja jalust seotud inimene ei saa end ise vabastada. Selleks on vaja kõidikust vaba inimese abi. Kuna seotud inimene ei saa aidata teist kinni seotud, peab tema päästja olema kõidikust vabanenud inimene. Seega saab tingimustest sõltuva hinge vabastada üksnes Jumal Krishna või tema autoriteetne esindaja ja vaimse õpetaja näol. Sellise kõrgema abita pole materiaalse looduse kõidikust võimalik vabaneda.
Devotional service or Krishna consciousness can help one gain such release. Krishna, being the Lord of illusory energy, can order this insurmountable energy to release the conditioned soul. He orders this release out of his causeless mercy on the surrendered soul and out of his parental affection for the living entity, who is originally a beloved son of the Lord. Therefore, surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord is the only means to get free from the clutches of the stringent material nature.
Pühendunud teenimine Krishna teadus võib aidata inimesel vabanemiseni jõuda. Krishna, olles illusoorse energia valitseja, võib käskida sellel ületamatul energial tingimustest sõltuv hing vabaks lasta. Ta annab materiaalsele energiale sellise korralduse oma põhjendamatust armulikkusest, talle alistunud hinge vastu ning oma vanemlikust kiindumusest elus olendi vastu, kes on algselt Jumala armastatud poeg. Seepärast on Jumala lootusjalgadele alistumine ainus viis pääseda vabaks karmi materiaalse looduse küüniste vahel.
The words Mam Eva are also significant. Mam means unto Krishna, Vishnu, only, and not Brahma or Shiva. Although Brahma and Shiva are greatly elevated and are almost on the level of Vishnu, it is not possible for such incarnations of Rajaguna, passion, and Tamoguna, ignorance, to release the conditioned soul from the clutches of Maya. In other words, both Brahma and Shiva are also under the influence of Maya.
Ka sõnad Maam ja Va on tähelepanuväärsed. Maam tähendab üksnes Krishnale, Vishnule ning mitte Brahmale ega Shivale. Ehkki Brahma ja Shiva on väga kõrgelt arenenud hinged, viibides Vishnuga peaaegu samal tasandil. Ei ole need Rajaguna, Kiren, Tamaguna, teadmatuse inkarnatsioonid suutelised vabastama tingimustest sõltuvad hingi Maya küüniste vahel. Teisisõnu öeldes viibivad ka Brahma ja Shiva Maya mõju all.
Only Vishnu is the master of Maya, therefore he alone can give release to the conditioned soul. The Vedas, Shvetasvatara Upanishad 3.8, confirm this in the phrase Tam Eva Viditva, or freedom is possible only by understanding Krishna. Even Lord Shiva affirms that liberation can be achieved only by the mercy of Lord Vishnu. Lord Shiva says, Mukti Pradartha Sarvesham Vishnur Evana Shamshayaha. There is no doubt that Vishnu is the deliverer of liberation for everyone.
Üksnes Vishnu on Maya valitseja ning seepärast on üksnes tema võimeline vabastama tingimustest sõltuvat hingi. Vedades kinnitatakse seda fraasiga Tam Eva Viditva, mis tähendab, et vabanemine on võimalik üksnes Krishna mõistmise läbi. Isegi Shiva kinnitab, et vabanemiseni saab jõuda ainult Vishnu armust. Shiva ütleb, Mukti Pradata Sarvesham Vishnur Evana Samshaya. Pole kahtlust, et Vishnu on iga elus olendi vabastaja.
So once more, this verse reads, Daidhyesha gunamai mama maya duratyaya mam eviye prapadyamte mayam etan karanti te. And it means This divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it.
Seda minu jumalikku energiat, mis koosneb materiaalse looduse kolmest kuunast, on raske ületada, kuid nendele, kes on alistunud minule, pole sellest kõrgemale tõusmine raske.
So this is a very important verse from chapter 7 of Bhagavad Gita.
See on väga tähtis värss Bhagavad Gita 7. peatükist.
Our great Acharya, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, explains that Lord Krishna has presented Bhagavad Gita in 3 sections.
Meie suur Acharya, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, selgitab, et Krishna on esitanud Bhagavad Gitat 3 osas.
So the first section is chapter 1 through chapter 6.
Ja esimene osa on esimesest peatükist kuni 6. peatükini.
And here Lord Krishna is especially putting stress on Nishkam Karma Yoga.
Ja siin Krishna eriti rõhutab Nishkam Karma Yogat.
Nishkam means without material desire.
Nishkam tähendab ilma materiaalsete soovideta.
And Karma Yoga is, of course, performance of one's duty for the satisfaction of the Lord.
Karma Yoga on loomulikult enese kohustuste täitmine Jumala rahulduseks.
So Lord Krishna is speaking on this pure system of Karma Yoga to lead people who are entangled in material nature to bhakti.
Ja Jumala Krishna räägib sellest Karma Yoga puudutavast süsteemist. Inimesi, kes on materiaalse maailma kõidikuis bhaktini.
And chapters 13 through 18 are especially aimed at jnanis, at those who are fond of cultivation of knowledge for the purpose of liberation.
Ja peatükid 13 kuni 18 on eriti mõeldud jnaanidele, kes siis arendavad teadmisi, et saavutada vabanemine.
So therefore, as we see, the Lord is discussing in that section the philosophy of Sankhya, the 3 modes of material nature.
Niimoodi me võime näha, et Jumal arutab selles osas Sankhya filosoofiat, materiaalse looduse 3 suunat.
He speaks of Purushottama Yoga, how to achieve the Supreme Person by means of yoga.
Ta räägib Purushottama Yogast, ehk siis kuidas on võimalik saavutada kõrgem Jumala yoga abil.
And chapter 18 is titled The Perfection of Renunciation, which means the perfection of sannyas.
Ja peatükk 18 kannab pealkirja loobumuse täiuslikkus, mis siis tähendaks sannyasa täiuslikkus.
So in the Orthodox Vedic culture and religion, it was particular sannyasis who would study Vedanta.
Siis ortodokslikus vedelikus süsteemis olid eriti sannyasid, kes õppisid Vedanta.
And so Vedanta is the philosophy of liberation.
Ehk siis Vedanta on vabanemise filosoofia.
So these last 6 chapters of Gita are particularly aimed at those people who are interested in yoga, renunciation, jnana, liberation.
Ehk siis need viimased 6 peatükki on suunatud inimestele, keda väga huvitab jooga, askeesid loobumine, jnana arendamine.
But the middle 6 chapters, this 7th chapter is the first of those middle 6 chapters. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. These 6 chapters, they are especially concerned with bhakti.
Aga need keskmised 6 peatükki, alates 7. kuni 12. räägivad siis eriti bhaktist.
So that's not to say that chapters 1 through 6 and 13 through 18 are not about bhakti.
See siis ei tähenda seda, et esimesed 6 ja viimased 6 oleksid siis bhaktist kõrgemal.
But in these chapters, Lord Krishna is giving more attention to those who are still in the grip of material nature.
Aga nendes peatükkides Krishna pöörab rohkem tähelepanu nendele inimestele, kes on ikka veel materiaalse looduse haardes.
Those who are still under material nature, they try to improve their situation either by karma or by jnana.
Need, kes on materiaalse looduse mõju all, siis nemad üritavad parandada oma situatsiooni, kas siis vastavalt karma abil või jnana abil.
But bhakti is reserved for those, as this verse says, who have surrendered to Krishna.
Aga bhakti on siis hoitud nende jaoks, nagu see värss siin ütleb, kes on alistanud Krishnale.
And thus they have easily crossed over the bondage of Maya.
Ja niimoodi nad on väga lihtsalt ületanud Maya võidikuid.
For those still in karma conception and jnana conception, getting out of Maya is a big problem.
Need, kes on karma ja jnana tasandil, nende jaoks on Mayast väljapääsemine väga raske.
But for those who have surrendered to Krishna, there is no problem because Maya, as we've heard, is Krishna's own energy.
Aga need, kes on alistunud Krishnale, nendel ei ole raske Mayast siis või materiaalsest energiast üle astuda, sellepärast et see on Krishna enda energia.
He says that this Maya is Daivi, it is my divine potency.
Ta ütleb, et see Maya on Daivi, ehk see on minu jumalik energia.
He says Mama Maya, it is my own energy.
Ta ütleb Mama Maya, ehk see on minu enda energia.
And as Prabhupada explains in the purport, referring to Svetasvatara Upanishad, there is Maya and there is Mayim. Mayim means the master of Maya, that is Krishna.
Ja nagu Prabhupada viitab siin kommentaaris, ehk siis on olemas Maya ja on olemas Mayim, ehk siis see, kes valitseb Maya.
So, this Maya, material energy, is, as Srila Prabhupada said, another face of Srimati Radharani.
Ehk siis see Maya või materiaalne energia, nagu Prabhupada ütleb, on Srimati Radharani teine nägu.
He mentioned this when he gave initiation to one of my god sisters.
Ta mainis seda, kui ta andis initseeringu ühele mu vaimsetest õdedest.
So at this initiation he called her to take her beads and he gave her the name Mahamaya Devi Dasi.
Ja selle initseeringul ta siis kutsus selle pöörduma, andis talle mantra helmet ja andis talle nimeks Mahamaya Devi Dasi.
So everyone, especially her, but everyone, they were a little bit shocked.
Ja kõik olid natukene, eriti tema, natukene šokeeritud.
Oh, why Srila Prabhupada is giving this name to this girl?
Miks Srila Prabhupada annab selle nime sellele tüdrukule?
So Prabhupada noticed and he smiled, looked at everyone and said, Mahamaya is simply another face of Srimati Radharani.
Prabhupada naeratas, vaatas kõigile otsa ja ütles, et Mahamaya on lihtsalt Srimati Radharani teine nägu.
We find in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in Canto 6, Chapter 9, this is also explained very nicely.
Me leiame ka Srimad Bhagavatam 9. laulust 6. peatükist, et see on väga hästi selgitatud.
There, Kasyapa Muni is saying, Vishnu Patni Mahamayi, Mahapurusha Lakshane. So this means Vishnu Patni means the wife of Lord Vishnu, or Lakshmi Devi, his eternal consort.
Seal Kasyapa Muni ütleb, et Lakshmi Devi on siis Vishnu igavene kaaslane.
It says Vishnu Patni Mahamaya. This Vishnu Patni, this Lakshmi, is also Mahamaya.
Ta ütleb, et see Lakshmi, see Vishnu Patni on samuti Mahamaya.
And yet at the same time, Mahapurusha Lakshane. She has the same qualities as the Mahapurush, the Supreme Person himself. He is Satchitananda Vigraha, she is Satchitananda Vigraha.
Ja samal ajal tal on need samad omadused, mis siis Jumala kõrgemal isiksusel. Siis nad mõlemad on Satchitananda Vigraha.
And then in the next verse, Iyam tu prakriti shukshma Maya Shaktir Duratyaya. That is also phrase is used here. Mama Maya Duratyaya. So Kashyapa Muni is saying, Iyam hi prakriti shukshma. She is the shukshma prakriti. That means the transcendental prakriti, daya prakriti. Shukshma is another word for spiritual. So, Iyam hi prakriti shukshma. She is the divine internal energy.
Ehk siis Kashyapa Muni ütleb, et tema on samuti kõrgeim jumalik energia.
At the same time, Maya Shaktir Duratyaya. She is also the Maya Shakti, and very, very difficult to overcome, as Krishna says here.
Samal ajal ta on ka Maya Shakti, ehk teda on väga raske ületada.
So because she is Vishnu Patni, she is the wife of the Lord, therefore she is totally under his control.
Aga kuna ta on Jumala naine, siis ta on täielikult tema kontrolli all.
So those who want to enjoy her, those materialistic persons who want to enjoy her, she punishes, just like she punished Ravana.
Ja siis need materialistlikud inimesed, kes tahavad teda nautida, siis neid ta karistab, samamoodi nagu ta karistas Ravanat.
But those who surrender to her Lord, she is most pleased with.
Aga need, kes alistuvad tema Jumalale, nendega ta on väga rahul.
So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he used to listen to the poetry of two very, very transcendently gifted Vaishnava poets.
Ja Jumal Chaitanya siis kuulas kahte väga andekat Vaishnava poeti.
One poet's name was Vidyapati and the other's name was Chandidas.
Ühe nime oli Vidyapati ja teine oli Chandidas.
So both of these poets, they lived before the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Ja mõlemad poetid elasid siis enne Chaitanya Mahaprabhu aega.
But their poems were recorded and they're still available today to be read.
Aga nende poesia oli siis üles kirjutatud ja see on siiamaani saadaval tegelikult.
Of course, these poems about very advanced subject matters. They're not really meant for neophytes to hear.
Muidugi see poesia on väga kõrgel tasemel ja see ei ole just mõeldud algajatele pühendunutele kuulamiseks.
But in the confidential associate of his close association, close devotees, Lord Chaitanya used to listen to this poetry.
Aga oma lähedaste pühendunutele kinnises ringis ta siis Jumal Chaitanya kuulas seda poeesiat.
So there's an interesting story about Chandidas that is very nicely connected to the message of this verse, chapter 7, verse 14, Bhagavad Gita.
Ja üks väga huvitav lugu selle Chandidasile, mis läheb väga hästi kokku selle värsiga, mis on siin täna lomme.
So Chandidas, his name was Chandidas. Now Chandi is a form of Maya Devi.
Tema nimi oli Chandidas ja Chandi on üks Maya Devi kehastustest.
There is a stuti, a Vedic hymn, which the Shaktas, the worshippers of Maya, they praise Maya Devi with. This stuti is called the Mangal Chandi.
On olemas üks vedelik hümn, kus siis on šaktad ehk siis Maya Devi pühendunud ülistavad teda kui Chandi.
So Chandidas, in his earlier life, he had been a great devotee of Maya Devi.
Ja Chandidas oli oma eelmises elus olnud suur Maya Devi pühendunud.
And as a result of worshipping her, he became very opulent.
Ja tema teenimise tulemusena temast sai väga rikas inimene.
He lived in a big palace
Elas suures palees
with very large grounds around it behind the big wall.
Suurte seinade taga, müüri taga.
And there was a beautiful garden growing on these grounds.
ja seal sees oli suur ilusa aed.
So many sweetly scented, colorful flowers were growing there.
Seal kasvas väga palju meeldivalt lõhnaid lilli.
And so he had on his property, he had built a very nice temple to the deity. Can someone do something about this child, please? I'm not going to speak anymore until someone takes care of this child. Either she sits down quietly or she goes out and doesn't come back. Prabhupada would never tolerate this. Bhagavad Gita class is not kindergarten time.
Bhagavad Gita tund ei ole siis lastele.
For serious hearing.
See on tõsiseks kuulamiseks.
So anyway, he had built a very nice temple to Chandi, and he was worshipping her in her murti form.
Ja ta siis ehitas väga ilusa templi Chandile ja teenis teda oma murti kujul.
So every day he was offering her many nice flowers.
Ja iga päev pakkus ta temale palju toredat lilli.
And he was growing in opulence.
Ja tema rikkus aina kasvas ja kasvas.
So Chandidas had a brother who was a Vaishnava.
Aga Chandidasil oli vend, kes oli Vaishnava.
And this brother was very poor.
Ja see vend oli väga vaene.
But his heart was surrendered to Krishna.
Aga ta oli oma südames alistunud Krishnale.
So his poverty was actually Krishna's mercy.
Nii tema vaesus oli tegelikult Krishna armulikkus.
As Bhagavatam says, Anugrahami Harisheta Dhanam Shanai. When the Lord shows his mercy to someone, he takes away their material attachments.
Nagu Bhagavatam ütleb, et kui Jumal näitab oma armulikkust kellelegi, siis ta võtab ära tema materiaalsed kiindumused.
So the Chandidas' brother was very poor, but he wanted to worship Krishna.
Ja siis Chandidasi vend oli väga vaene, aga ta tahtis teenida Krishnat.
He was too poor even to offer flowers to Krishna.
Ta oli isegi liiga vaene, et pakkuda Krishnale lilli.
And he used to stand outside his brother Chandidas's property and look at the flowers growing up above the wall.
Ja ta siis seisis väljaspool seda oma venna Chandidasi maavaldust ja vaatas, kuidas lilled kasvavad mööda seina.
And he used to think to himself, oh, if I could get just one of these flowers, then I could offer it to Krishna.
Ja ta mõtles, et et kui ma saaksin kas ainult ühe selle lille, siis ma võiksin selle pakkuda Krishnale.
So one day he saw one particular very beautiful flower.
Ja ühel päeval ta nägi ühte väga ilusat lille.
And he meditated on that flower.
Ja ta mediteeris sellele lillele.
He meditated on that flower so deeply.
Ja ta mediteeris sellele lillele nii sügavalt.
And then in that deep meditation, he offered the flower to Krishna.
Ja selles sügavas meditatsioonis ta pakkus selle lille Krishnale.
And Krishna accepted it.
Ja Krishna võttis selle vastu.
So then soon after that, Chandidas, he went to have darshan of Chandima, his deity.
Ja varsti peale seda Chandidas läks, et võtta darshan oma Chandima tema jumaluselt.
And he saw the deity was transformed.
Ja ta nägi, et see jumalus oli muutunud.
She was smiling very brightly.
Ta naeratas väga säravalt.
And she was glancing at Chandidas.
Ja ta heitis pilke Chandidasile.
And she spoke to him.
Ja ta rääkis temale.
This had never happened before.
Seda ei ole mitte kunagi varem juhtunud.
Always before, it was just like statue, stone, marble deity.
Varem see oli alati nagu kuju, marmor jumalus.
But now she's smiling and nodding her head and glancing at Chandidas very happily.
Aga nüüd ta siis naeratab ja vaatab Chandidasi igatole väga rõõmsalt pilke.
And so Chandidas said, Ma, what has happened? Why are you so happy?
Ja Chandidas ütles, et maa, mis on juhtunud? Miks sa oled õnnelik?
And she said, oh, my life here in your place has become perfect today.
Tead, mu elu siin sinu elupaigas on muutunud täna täiuslikult.
Because today, one of the flowers in the garden, which you keep for me, one of the flowers was offered by your brother in his mind to my Lord Sri Krishna.
Sest täna üks lilledest, mis kasvab sinu aias, pakuti sinu venna poolt minu armastusele Shri Krishna.
And so now today I am at last happy to be here.
Ja et lõpuks täna ma olen väga õnnelik, et siin olla.
I'm feeling very satisfied.
Tunnen, et ma olen väga rahuldatud.
And Chandidas was surprised.
Ja Chandidas oli üllatunud.
He said, Ma, I always thought you were supreme.
Ta ütles, et ma alati arvasin, et sina oled kõige kõrgem.
You're telling me Krishna is your Lord.
Ja nüüd sa räägid, et Krishna on sinu jumal.
She said, yes, of course.
See on muidugi.
I am his devotee.
Ma olen tema pühendunud.
I am his servant.
Ma olen tema teener.
I don't move an inch without his sanction.
Ma ei liiguta millimeetritki ilma tema loata.
But Ma, all these years I've been worshipping you.
Aga ma olen kogu aeg sind teeninud.
I didn't know that Krishna is the Supreme Lord.
Ma ei teadnud, et Krishna on kõrgem jumal.
And she said, yes, you know, that's the problem. It's ignorant people who like to worship me.
Ja ta ütles, et jah, et see ongi see probleem, et need teadmuses olevad inimesed, kes tahavad mind teenida.
And I bestow upon them great material opulence.
Ja ma annan neile suure materiaalse rikkuse.
But unfortunately they remain in ignorance.
Aga kahjuks on peavad ikkagi teadmatusse.
They just use this opulence to enjoy their senses.
Nad lihtsalt kasutavad seda rikkust, et nautida oma meeli.
And in this way they fall deeper and deeper into illusion.
Sellisel viisil nad langevad aina sügavamale ja sügavamale illusiooni.
But now I'm so happy today.
Täna ma olen nii õnnelik.
Because your brother worshipped Krishna in his mind with one flower. Offered in his mind one flower to my Lord.
Sest täna sinu vend pakkus oma mõistuses mulle minu jumalale ühe lille.
Because I'm feeling so satisfied, I'm telling you the real truth.
Ja kuna ma tunnen ennast nii rahulolevana, siis ma räägin sulle tõelise tõe.
So Chandi was so astonished, Chandidas.
Chandidas oli täiesti üllatunud.
And he said, so if my brother can please Chandi so much by just making an offering in his mind.
Ta mõtles, et kui minu vend siis suudab rahuldada Chandit nii väga, lihtsalt pakkudes ühe lille oma mõistuses.
To Krishna.
Krishnale.
Then, how much advancement I will make if I worship Krishna with all this facility I have.
Siis kui palju arengut teen mina, kui ma teenin Krishnat kõikide nende vahenditega, mis mul on.
So from that moment on, he surrendered completely to Krishna.
Ja alates sellest hetkest ta alistus täielikult Krishnale.
And all of his opulence then was 100% engaged in Lord Krishna's service.
Siis kogu tema rikkus oli 100% hõivatud Krishna teenimisse.
And this is how he became the famous Chandidas, great Vaishnava poet, whose poetry Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself loved to hear.
Ja niimoodi sai temast Chandidas suur Vaishnava poeet, kelle poeesiat armastas kuulata isegi Chaitanya Mahaprabhu isiklikult.
So this illustrates the real position of the Lord's energy.
Ehk siis see illustreerib Jumala energia tõelist positsiooni.
His Shakti is actually one.
Tema Shakti on tegelikult üks.
But as Srila Prabhupada used to say, one energy, like electricity, can do opposite things.
Aga nagu Srila Prabhupada selgitas, üks energia, nagu näiteks elekter, võib teha vastandlikke asju.
See, electricity powers a refrigerator, a freezer, which can freeze things to ice.
Näiteks elekter annab siis energiat külmkapile, mis suudab asju jäätada.
And at the same time, the same electricity can power an oven, which makes things red hot.
Ja samal ajal võib see sama elekter siis anda energiat ahjule, mis teeb asjad tuli kuumaks.
Totally opposite effects.
Täiesti vastandlikud efektid.
Just like we speak of external potency, internal potency.
Nagu me räägime sisemisest ja välimisest energiast.
And we are thinking they're opposite.
Ja me mõtleme, et need on vastandlikud.
But the energy of both is actually the same.
Tegelikult mõlema energia on üks.
But the Lord's energy is showing her Maya form to the rascals.
Kuid Jumala energia näitab oma Maya kuju nendele
those
turjustele.
who do not surrender to Krishna.
Need, kes ei alista Krishnale.
She takes charge of them.
Nende eest siis vastutab või nende eest valitseb tema.
She is Durga.
Tema on Durga.
The name Durga, you may be able to understand. Dur means difficult.
Teil on sõna Durga siis. Dur tähendab raske.
Just like we have in the English language words like durable. So durable means it's something that's very difficult to break.
Nagu inglise keeles on sõna durable, mis tähendab, et on midagi, mis on väga raske lõhkuda või murda.
Or we have another word, duress. When someone is in duress, that means he's in great difficulty.
Või teine sõna on duress, mis tähendab, et kui keegi on väga suures raskuses.
So this Sanskrit root dur, yes, it means very difficult, very hard.
Et see sanskriti tüvi dur tähendab väga raske.
And ga means to go.
Ja ka tähendab kõndima, minema.
So therefore Durga actually means a prison.
Tegelikult Durga tähendab vanglat.
Once you're inside, it is very difficult to go out.
Kui sa oled seal sees, on väga raske välja saada.
That's the literal meaning of the word Durga.
See on sõna Durga siis
So Krishna is saying, Mama Maya Duratyaya. My Maya is very difficult to overcome.
Sellepärast Krishna ütleb, ma Maya Duratya, et minu energiat on väga raske ületada.
She keeps all the fools and rascals who won't surrender to Krishna in the prison house of the material world.
Ta hoiab kõiki rollipäid ja lurjusid, kes ei taha temale alistuda materiaalse energia vanglast.
But if anyone surrenders to Krishna, then she is most pleased with that person.
Aga kui keegi alistub Krishnale, siis ta on selle isiksusega väga rahul.
And like Chandi, Chandi Ma did for Chandidas, then she is instructing that person how to approach Krishna. She's making it possible for that person to be engaged in the Lord's devotional service.
Nii nagu Chandi Ma siis juhendas Chandidassi, et kuidas hõivata ennast pühendunud teenimisse.
So, our great Acharya, Sripad Madhvacharya, who is in the Kali Yuga the founder of this Brahma Sampradaya.
Siis meie üks põhilisemaid acharyaid, Sripad Madhvacharya, kes on siis Brahma Gaudiya Sampradaya alusrajaja.
He has made an interesting point which can help us understand this verse.
Ta on öelnud ühe välja huvitava mõtte, mis aitab meil mõista seda värssi.
He has said that it is the position of the jiva to always be in bondage.
Ta ütleb, et see on jiva positsioon, olla alati köidetud, alati vangistuses.
Now we may be surprised to hear that.
Võib-olla oleme üllatunud seda kuuldes.
Because here Krishna is saying, Mayamitam tarantite, that one can become free of Maya.
Sest siin Krishna ütleb, et Mayat on võimalik ületada.
But Madhvacharya is saying, the jiva is ever in bondage.
Aga Madhvacharya ütleb, et jiva on alati vangistuses.
But we have a choice
Aga meil on valik,
of what type of bondage we shall be under.
millises vangistuses või millises köidikus me oleme.
We can be under the bondage of the external material potency of the Lord.
Me võime olla siis Jumala välise energia mõju all.
Or we can be in bondage to the internal spiritual potency of the Lord.
Või me võime olla siis sisemise vaimse energia mõju all.
But there is no scope for independence.
Aga ei ole mingit võimalust iseseisvuseks.
Independence means Maya.
Iseseisvus või sõltumatus tähendab Mayat.
If you want to know exactly what Maya means in the sense of illusion, it is that. This idea that we can be free.
Kui te tahate mõista, mida Maya tähendab, siis illusiooni tähenduses, siis see tähendabki seda, et me arvame, et me võime olla vabad.
This is what the Mayavadis want. They want to be independent of everything. They want to be independent of the material world, and they also want to be independent of Ishvara, the supreme controller. They want to be God themselves.
Seda Mayavadid tahavadki. Nad tahavad olla sõltumatud Jumalast, nad tahavad olla kõigest sõltumatud. ehk siis olla ise Jumal.
But theirs is a philosophy of illusion.
Aga see on illusiooni filosoofia.
There is no such independence for the living entity.
Sellist sõltumatust ei ole olemas elusolendil jaoks.
So, in 1976, the United States of America celebrated its 200th year of independence.
Ehk siis 76. aastal Ameerika Ühendriigid tähistasid oma iseseisvuse 200. aastapäeva.
Every year on the 4th of July, there's always big celebrations in USA with firecrackers in the sky, fireworks. That 4th of July was when the founders of the country wrote this document called the Declaration of Independence, in which they declared America to be free of British rule.
Ehk siis igal aastal 4. juulil Ameerikas lastakse ilutulestikku saluuti ja tähistatakse seda, et siis selle maarajad, asutajad kirjutasid alla iseseisvuse deklaratsioonile, kus siis kehtestatakse iseseisvuse Inglismaa võimul.
So on July 4th, 1976, this was 200 years after this document had been made in 1776. So it was an enormous big celebration all over the country.
Ehk siis 1976. 4. juulil oli see siis 200 aastapäeva, see oli väga tohutu suur pidupäev.
And at the same time, Srila Prabhupada was touring USA and preaching.
Samal ajal Srila Prabhupada siis oli USA's tuuril ja jutlustas.
And he was preaching how independence is an impossibility.
Ja ta jutlustas, et iseseisvus on midagi võimatu.
And that year, July issue of Back to Godhead, you saw on the cover there was a picture of a devotee chanting Hare Krishna, and there was the American flag in the background, and the title said, "Declaring our dependence upon Krishna."
Ja siis 76. aasta 4. juulikuu Back to Godhead ajakirja kaanel oli pilt, kus pühendamine siis tantsis laulis Hare Krishnat ja tema selja taga oli Ameerika lipp, kus peal oli kiri, et ma kuulutan ennast sõltuvaks Krishnast.
We don't want to foolishly try to declare independence. That is impossible.
Me ei taha rumalalt kuulutada ennast iseseisvaks. See on võimatu.
But we can declare our dependence upon the supreme independent Bhagavad Shri Krishna.
Aga me võime kuulutada oma sõltuvust kõrgemast sõltumatust Bhagavan Shri Krishnast.
And this is exactly what Krishna is saying in this verse.
Ja seda Krishna ütlebki siin värsis.
Mamaiye prapadyante. So you surrender to me, you become totally dependent upon me.
Eks sa alistu mulle, sa muutu minust täielikult sõltuvaks.
And then mayam etam tarantite. And then you will be free from the Mahamaya.
Ja siis sa saad vabaks Mahamaya mõjuval.
But we will be under the Yogamaya.
Aga me oleme Yogamaya mõjuval.
The Daivi Prakriti.
Daivi Prakriti.
Actually, Prabhupada, he once explained, Daivi Prakriti can also be translated as transcendental woman, because Prakriti means not only nature, but it can also mean in Sanskrit woman.
Srila Prabhupada ükskord selgitas, et Daivi Prakritit võib tõlkida kui transcendentaalne naine, sest Prakriti tähendab peale loodusega naist.
So who is that transcendental woman?
Ehk siis kes on see transcendentaalne naine?
Srimati Radharani.
Srimati Radharani.
So this is what Krishna is saying.
Ja seda Krishna ütlebki.
That we should surrender to him.
Me peaksime temale alistuma.
And thus, as he indicates a little later in Gita, then Daivim Prakritim Ashrita. Mahatmanastu Mamparta Daivim Prakritim Ashrita. By surrendering to him, one becomes a Mahatma, a great soul, and is thus under the protection of Srimati Radharani.
Ja samuti siis Krishna väidab natuke hiljem, et siis see, kes temal alistub, on Mahatma, ja tema on siis Srimati Radharani kaitse.
So then finally we may ask, well, what does this mean for me practically?
Ja siis lõpuks me võime küsida, et mida see siis minu jaoks praktiliselt tähendab.
As a little small devotee,
kui hästi väikene pühendunud,
who doesn't know much about Krishna or Radharani,
kes ei tea palju ei Krishnast ega Radharanist,
don't know how to approach them.
Ei tea, kuidas neile läheneda.
So how do we get out of the clutches of Maya?
Kuidas saada välja Maya küüniste vahelt?
So Srila Prabhupada, he answered this question by saying, you must be ruled by your spiritual master.
Srila Prabhupada vastas sellele küsimusele, et sind peab valitsema Valmi õpetaja.
Because this spiritual master is the representative in this world of the internal potency.
Sest Valmi õpetaja on selles maailmas sisemise energia esindaja.
So therefore, surrender to a spiritual master. Be ruled by him. In this way one will be free of the clutches of mind.
Sellepärast alista valmisele õpetajale, ole tema poolt juhitud. Niimoodi, et sa saad vabaks Maia küüniste vahelt.
Are there any questions?
On küsimusi?
Yes.
Вопрос насчет наставления гуру.
Question about instruction from guru.
То есть я не совсем понимаю, какое место занимает как бы наставление индивидуальное гуру, в исходе. Индивидуальное наставление многих гуру в исходе.
Как это так что?
Наставление,
Okay. I don't understand exactly importance or
не важно,
what is the place of individual instruction of guru in ISKCON?
In ISKCON, for example, we have so many instructions for many guru from ISKCON, but I don't understand. We have like Shiksha Guru and Srila Prabhupada said all about, but why we must accept a spiritual master, then Srila Prabhupada all give to us, maybe understand what is.
Miks me siis peaksime aktsepteerima valmise õpetaja, kui ISKCONis, kui Srila Prabhupada on meile kõik andnud?
What?
I'm going to answer your question. I'm not sure if I understand, but generally when I come to Russia, I never understand the questions. So, it's like trying to touch the nose like this. So, I'm not going to spend time trying to understand your question too deeply, because I'll never understand it. But I'll give an answer anyway.
Ma vastan küsimusele, kui ma väga sügavalt seda kindlasti ei mõista, eriti kui ma käin Venemaal, siis ma väga oskan mõista küsimusi.
And my answer is that Srila Prabhupada is the founder acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness.
Ja meie vastus on, et Srila Prabhupada on siis rahvusvahelise Krishna-teaduse ühingu asutaja acharya.
Samstapaka acharya. So this is a tattva, this is a unique position.
See on tattva, eks see on siis unikaalne positsioon.
We see in the Lakshmi Sampradaya, the Sri Sampradaya of Vaishnavas in South India.
Me näeme, et Lakshmi Sampradayas ja Sri Sampradayas Lõuna-Indias.
Their founder acharya is Sripad Ramanuja.
Siis nende asutaja acharya on Sripad Ramanuja.
So he is understood to this very day, more than 1,000 years after his appearance in this world. He is understood by all the Sri Vaishnavas to be they have this term, Udharaka. Udharaka means he is the deliverer of everyone who is initiated in that sampradaya. It is Ramanuja who is delivering everyone. He is saving everyone. This is founder acharya.
Ja nad siiamaani mõistavad siis teda kui kõikide päästajad, kes on saanud siis tema selles õpilasjärgnes vahelas initsieeringu. Ehk siis see on asutaja acharya, kui on 1000 aastat tagasi oli siin maailmas.
And the spiritual masters who come in the line after Ramanuja acharya, they're called Upakaraka, that means helper.
Ja ainsad õpetajad, kes tulevad siis peale Ramanuja acharyat, nende nime Upakaraka, kes on siis aitajad.
They're assisting Ramanuja acharya in his mission.
Ehk nad aitavad Ramanuja acharyat tema missioonis.
So the same is true about ISKCON movement.
Ja see sama iskooni liikumise kohta.
Srila Prabhupada is the founder Acharya.
Srila Prabhupada on asutaja Acharya.
And by his amazing transcendental potency, he is still preaching to this very day.
Ja oma imelise transcendentaalse energia abil ta ütlustab siiamaani.
And he is still delivering every bona fide member of the ISKCON disciplic succession.
Et siiamaani vabastab iga autoriteetse ISKCOni õpilasjärgus vahele järgi.
Srila Prabhupada is alive and with us.
Srila Prabhupada on meiega koos elus.
But the present day spiritual masters who are giving initiation, they are assisting him in his mission.
Aga praegused vaimsed õpetajad, kes siis annavad initsieeringuid, aitavad teda tema missioonis.
So Srila Prabhupada, he said that yes, he even said to his own disciples that they can accept shiksha from a spiritual master besides Srila Prabhupada himself.
Ja Srila Prabhupada ise ütles oma õpilastele, et te võite võtta shikshat ka mõned teised vaimsed õpetajad peale tema enda.
But he said you must know what a shiksha guru really is.
Aga ta ütles, et te peate mõistma, mis on tegelikult shiksha guru.
A shiksha guru is one whose every word is in full agreement with the initiating spiritual master.
Shiksha guru on see, kelle iga sõna on täielikus kooskõlas initsieeriva vaimse õpetajaga.
So this is parampara.
See on parampara.
Parampara means transparent representation.
Parampara tähendab siis nagu sellist läbivat esitust.
Transparent means like, well, you don't have to translate windows. Anyway, a clear glass window, you see through, there's no obstruction.
See tähendab nagu puhast nagu läbipaistev, nagu sõnumi saamist. Sõnumid edastamist.
So this is Guru Parampara. That Srila Prabhupada's mission and his message is handed down the disciplic chain without any change, as it is.
Ja see on õpilasjärgnevus vahele, kui Srila Prabhupada sõnumit antakse edasi täpselt nii, nagu see on.
Yes?
Guru Maharaj mentioned that how in this beginning platform we may feel ourselves like distant from Radha Krishna like that. So is it that it's like more safe or better to consider ourselves like a servants of like Guru Parampara and Gaura-Nitai more than like Radha Krishna? At the same time, like Hare Krishna mantra is like a direct prayer to Radha Krishna at the same time.
Et küsimus on selline, et
So one make like a distinction.
Et kuna me oleme algelt pühendunud, et ja nagu ta enne mainis siis, et me ei suuda eriti mõista Radha Krishnat, siis millele me peaksime rohkem keskenduma, kas Radha Krishnale või Gaura-Nitaile, kuigi samas Hare Krishna mantra on otsene palve Radha Krishnale.
Well, I don't know about, setting up little walls inside of one's mind, This sounds artificial.
Ma ei tea, millised seinad on teil oma mõistuses ette seatud, et see tundub olevat kunstlik.
You're talking about making distinctions or something.
Räägid eristuste tegemisest.
Yeah, so there is a distinction. That's true.
Et eristus on olemas, see on tõsi.
But the main thing is that we should not take Krishna consciousness cheaply.
Aga põhiline asi on see, et me peaks võtma Krishna teadust kui midagi odavat.
So, we're worshipping Shri Radha and Krishna on the order of our spiritual master, on the order of Srila Prabhupada, on the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Eks me teenime Radha ja Krishnat vaimsõpetaja käskuliga, samuti Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu käskuliga.
And they're teaching us how to approach them.
ja nemad õpetavad meile, kuidas neile läheneda.
So we should follow.
Me peaksime järgima.
We shouldn't take it cheaply.
Me peaks võtma seda midagi odavalt.
Nor should we add anything.
Ja samuti me ei tohiks sinna midagi lisada.
You see some further distinction or definition of our own. There's no need for that.
Hilisemad eelistused või lisandid, selleks ei ole mingit vajadust.
The important thing is to follow.
Tähtis asi on järgida.
To be a disciple, to be a student.
Olla õpilane.
Not to add something or to subtract something from what is given.
Mitte midagi lisada või eemaldada sellest, mis on antud.
Anything else? Yes.
There was mentioned once that there is certain kind of like well-wishing Maya. So is it a certain form of her Durga, or is it just, I mean, it's just the aspect of the attitude? I remember once mentioned that I can well-wishing Maya.
Küsimus on, ma olen kuulnud, et on olemas ka selline head sooviv Maia, et kas see on Durga mingi teine aspekt või mis see on täpselt?
Yes, it says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, when one takes shelter of the devotees who come to preach the science of Krishna consciousness from bona fide Shastra.
Et Chaitanya Charitamritas mainitakse, kui pühendanud mul varjupaika autoriteetse Shastra juures.
Then Maya becomes pleased with that person and shows her pleasure by letting that person go. She lets him out of her grip.
Siis Maya näitab soosingut selle isiku suhtest ja laseb ta oma haardest ja lauaks.
So that's the best benediction we can hope to achieve from Maya.
Parim õnnistus, mida me võime saada Maialt.
And how to get that is explained here. We have to come completely under Lord Krishna's shelter.
Ja et kuidas seda saada, seda on siin selgitatud, et me peaksime täiesti Krishna juures täieliku varjupaiga leidma.
All right, then thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.